Millionaire uncovers shocking secret after girl shows same ring as her mother. The rain hammered down like a relentless drum, slicking the streets of the city into mirrors that caught every flashing neon and gleaming skyscraper light. Inside a grand ballroom atop one of those towers, Henry Davis, the millionaire whose name filled boardrooms and tabloids alike, nursed a drink. His eyes, clouded and distant, skimmed the crowded room without really seeing it. His penthouse above was a world away, empty now, swallowed by silence ever since Clara vanished in that terrible accident months ago. Tonight was just another event, another backdrop to the ache twisting his chest. Then, out of nowhere she appeared. Not Clara, no. A small figure drenched by the storm, eyes wide and fierce. Isabella, the girl with curls as wild as the wind outside, and a spark Henry hadn't felt in months. She pulled a hand from beneath her coat, and there it was, the ring, the exact same ring Clara had wore. Henry's throat tightened. His heartbeat thundered loud, drowning the din of whispers curling around them. Confused faces turned, murmurs broke like waves. How? Where? What game was this? Isabella's voice was soft but steady. It belonged to my mom, just like yours. Her gaze locked on his, that strange electric charge crackling between them. Who was this girl? Why did she carry a piece of Clara, alive and burning after all this time? Questions piled like storm clouds, thick and dark, filling the room. Dangerous, impossible questions. Henry felt the world narrow. He remembered Clara's laughter, the warmth he'd lost. And here, in a child's trembling hand, was a bridge to that lost love, and maybe a door to something darker. He wanted to reach out, to clutch this tiny hand, but fear squeezed his ribs. What truth hid behind Isabella's wide, starry eyes? What storm had swept through her own life that led her here, to him? She spoke then, barely above a whisper, about dreams too big for a girl her age, and shadows that wrapped themselves tight around her family's past. Just as Henry tried to piece this fragile puzzle together, a shadow slid across the edge of the ballroom. Too familiar, too cold. A figure watching, waiting. Someone who knew the truths Henry wasn't ready to face. Someone who was a living warning. The past isn't dead. It's alive, hungry. The air buzzed with tension. Silence clenched tight, then shattered with a sudden buzz. Henry's phone lit up in his pocket. He pulled it free, with trembling fingers. The message stabbed right through him, freezing blood in his veins. "I know where she is." His breath caught. The room spun. The storm outside seemed to hold its breath too. Who sent the message? What did they mean to say? And what hell, or hope, was about to crash down on Henry and Isabella? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss out on any exclusive content coming your way. And while you're there, leave that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know all the amazing people who are part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Henry's heart raced. The message lingered in the air, a dark cloud thundering over him. I know where she is. Who sent it? What did it mean? The noise of the ballroom faded into a dull roar as Isabella tilted her head, worry painting her young face. "Mr. Davis, are you okay?" Her small hand gripped the ring tightly, like it was her lifeline, like she understood the tremors that surged through him. He couldn't answer her. His mind spiraled. Each word echoed like a drum in his head. The walls of the grand ballroom felt confining, closing in. The laughter and chatter seemed to mock his spiraling thoughts. He wanted to escape this moment, this confusion. Instead, he stood frozen, wrestling with fears he thought long buried. Then, just beyond Isabella, he spotted the figure lurking. It was a familiar silhouette, one that froze the blood in his veins. Lydia, Clara's sister, standing detached near the bar, her eyes narrow, piercing. The very woman who had disapproved of him, a shadow from his past that loomed larger. There was something in her gaze, something cold and calculating. This was no coincidence. Before he could ask Isabella to wait, Lydia glided forward, her heels tapping sharply against the tile floor, drawing attention like a siren song. "Henry," she called out, each word dripping with a controlled calm that made his skin crawl. "I see you've met my daughter." "Daughter?" The word sliced through the air. It left a gaping hole in Henry's chest, long-buried truths surfacing like a monstrous tide. The ring glinted again in Isabella's hand, but now it felt like a weapon rather than a connection. "Isabella is your—" "Yes." Lydia stepped closer, eyes shimmering with something akin to triumph. "A piece of Clara lives on, doesn't it?" "No, no, that can't be." But as the words escaped his lips, reality warped around him. The whispers of the crowd intensified. They too were pulling at the edges of this twisted moment. Those sickening murmurs filled his ears, drowning him. "Are you sure you really want to know the truth, Henry?" Lydia's voice was a low hiss, laced with menace. "What happened that night wasn't just an accident." "What do you mean?" Panic clawed at him, his breath coming in short gasps. The air felt thick, suffocating, and all he could hear was the rapid pounding of his heart. Clara was hiding things, secrets that could ruin us all. Lydia's smile was sharp, like the snap of a twig in a quiet forest. And now Isabella is here, carrying the weight of those secrets in more ways than one. Time stopped. Every face in the room turned to them, eyes wide. The air buzzed with electric tension. Henry saw flashes of disbelief, pity, curiosity, and something darker. The truth lingered, an ugly beast behind Lydia's words. He reached for Isabella. "What do you know?" But before she could answer, a loud crash interrupted them. A chandelier above flickered, casting jagged shadows as the lights dimmed ominously. Gasps filled the room. Someone screamed. Panic erupted. People scrambled. The chaotic movement stung Henry with urgency, and in that instant, Lydia's eyes flickered with a knowing glint. "Let them find out," she hissed, her sinister aura palpable. "You'll wish you never opened this door." What door? His mind raced, the pieces spinning wildly. Was she revealing something he didn't want to see? Did Clara's past cast a long shadow over them all? Then, through the chaos, fright washed over Henry as he turned back to Isabella, but she was gone, lost in the sea of people, and the message burned in his pocket like a brand, demanding answers. What had Clara hidden? And why had Lydia brought her daughter here? The storm was just beginning. Henry spun, searching frantically through the crowd. Panic clawed at his chest. "Isabella!" he shouted. The ballroom felt like a living thing, pressing in around him, shadows swirling. Chaos erupted as guests murmured, eyes darting between him and Lydia. "Where is she?" The question burned in his throat. Lydia merely smiled, a chilling smirk that said too much. "Calm down, Henry. She's right where she belongs." The confidence in her voice twisted something deep inside him. He finally pushed past a cluster of onlookers, his heart pounding louder than the distant thunder outside. Each face was a blur, worry etched on their features. Then he caught a glimpse of a curly head disappearing through a door at the far end of the ballroom. Isabella! He barreled forward, trusting his instincts, following the sound of a door creaking shut. The air was thick with vibrations, a heavy silence returning as he stepped into the dimly lit hallway. He hesitated, heart racing. Had she really slipped into a place this dark and cold? The hallway seemed to expand into shadows. The walls whispered secrets, the air charged with an unsettling energy. He followed the dimly glowing exit sign at the end of the corridor, breaths coming in desperate gasps. "Isabella!" His voice echoed back, distorted by emptiness. Then he spotted her, a solitary figure against the wall, staring at something in her hands. The sight brought an unexpected relief. He approached, but there was something off. "Isabella?" he called again. Softer this time, but her silence weighed heavier than ever. She looked up, eyes glimmering with unshed tears, the ring still clutched in her tiny palm. "It's a family secret, Mr. Davis," she whispered, almost like a prayer. "I didn't want to believe what I learned." Before he could respond, she lifted her other hand. In her palm was a folded piece of paper, torn, crinkled, stained. A chill ran through him as she extended it toward him. "Read it," she urged, her voice quivering with fear. He reached for the paper. As he unfolded it, a dread settled in the pit of his stomach. The handwriting was familiar, jagged and chaotic. His heart raced as the words came into focus. "If you're reading this, it's too late for me. I tried to protect you, but it's all coming undone. The truth is darker than you know. I'm not who you think I am. The ring can unlock everything." Suddenly, the lights flickered violently. A loud boom shook the walls. Like thunder rolled through the building. Panic surged in Henry's veins again. "Isabella, we need to go." He grabbed her wrist, but before they could move, a deafening crash echoed. The chandelier above them shattered, cascading splintered glass like deadly rain. Henry shoved Isabella aside, instinctively covering her small body with his own. He felt shards graze his back, pain burning through him. Then darkness engulfed them. Screams pierced the air. Amid the chaos, a shadowy figure stepped over the debris. Henry squinted through the dust, heart pounding in his ears. It was Lydia, but her expression was cold and unreadable. "Did you really think you could protect her?" Her voice cut through the haze, sharp and unyielding. "She deserves to know everything, just like Clara did." Henry's breath hitched. "What did you do?" Lydia smiled, but it wasn't a kind one. Clara found out too late. "It's time for the truth to be set free, Henry. You have no idea what you're up against." And everything shifted. Questioning thoughts swirled in Henry's mind like a whirlpool. Clara's secrets transformed into a looming specter, taking shape as Isabella's right to the truth. But what truth? The ground trembled beneath him as he pulled Isabella to her feet, confusion and fear merging into a potent cocktail of urgency. "Let's go," he urged, adrenaline fueling his movements, but the echoes of Lydia's words followed them, dragging shadows behind them. As they fled, Henry felt a twinge of doubt. The ring in Isabella's hand felt heavier, the secrets more profound. Each step brought them closer to the storm still brewing. And the message lingered in the back of Henry's mind, unanswered. "I know where she is." Who? What? Hope fought with dread. And somewhere the darkness waited, eager to bear witness to what unraveling truth might come next. Henry felt the weight of the world pressing down as he clutched Isabella's hand, pushing through the chaos that swirled around them. Panic rushed through him. "We have to get out, now!" But the air trembled with uncertainty, shadows stretching menacingly in every direction. Isabella looked up at him, her blue eyes wide and filled with confusion. "Mr. Davis, what's happening? Why is she doing this?" He opened his mouth to respond, but a deafening crash silenced him. The sound reverberated through the walls, shaking the very bones of the building. A piece of drapery fell, sending bits of plaster cascading to the floor. He pulled Isabella even closer, urging her forward. The fear was alive in him, an electric charge as they darted toward the nearest exit. Just then, the lights flickered again. A deep, dark rumble echoed, and the room felt like it was holding its breath. Suddenly, everything went still. The noise outside, the chaos within, it all faded, leaving a haunting quiet. Then Lydia stepped forward, cutting through the silence like a knife. She smirked, lips curling, and for a moment, hope flickered weakly in Henry's soul. "You're going to want to hear this," she said, her voice low, dripping with malice. "What do you want?" he snapped, desperation coloring his tone. Lydia took a step closer, her eyes glinting like shards of ice. "It's time for the truth, Henry. You deserve to know who Isabella really is." His heart staggered. "What do you mean?" He looked to Isabella, her tiny fingers still clutching the ring. But something about her expression shifted. Was it fear? Guilt? "She's not just Clara's daughter," Lydia said, her words sharp and deliberate. "She's a part of a riddle, one that Clara and I created long ago." The room felt like it was spinning. What are you talking about?" Henry's mind raced, confusion consuming him. "It wasn't an accident, Henry. Clara's desire to keep secrets, it drew us into a web of lies. And you are at the center of this mystery." Lydia pointed at Isabella. "She holds the key to everything. The ring is not just a piece of jewelry. It binds her to Clara's legacy and to you." The shock hit hard, a physical blow. Henry staggered back, shock waves of revelations crashing over him. No, she can't be." His voice trailed off. Isabella's gaze met his, a mix of uncertainty and something deeper. An understanding. "Mr. Davis, I didn't know. I promise. I just found the ring after Mom." Her voice faltered, and her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. The air thickened with dread, reality twisting like smoke. A realization clutched at him, something he didn't want to accept. "You mean Clara? She isn't gone?" Lydia's smile twisted into something crueler. "She might still be alive, Henry, but not in the way you think. Every secret brings consequences." Suddenly, Isabella dropped the ring. It clinked against the marble floor, breaking the spell. "No!" she yelled, fear erupting. As the ring rolled, a hidden compartment in the floor opened beneath it, revealing a dark passage. A sharp gasp ripped from Henry's lips. "What the?" Lydia laughed, the sound echoing in the stillness. "It's time for a choice, Henry. Follow the truth, or let it swallow you whole." As Henry stared into the darkness, dread and curiosity battled within him. Then, just as fast as the moment had shifted, the lights surged back to life. A shadow loomed behind Lydia. The room erupted into chaos anew. A tall figure stepped forth, and Henry's breath caught. It was Clara, but she looked different, wild eyes flashing with a turbulent history. "Stop!" she cried, voice raw, haunted. "Don't trust them!" Every instinct screamed at him. Betrayal hung thick in the air like smoke. The ring glimmered in the shadows. Secrets unraveled, and with it, Henry felt everything he knew slip away. What was real? What was a lie? And how deep did the darkness run? Henry's heart raced as he took in the sight of Clara, her wild eyes cutting through the tension like a razor. The room seemed to hold its breath, the chaos fading into a hum. "Stop! Don't trust them!" she shouted, her voice raw and desperate. Confusion cascaded over him. His heart thudded painfully against his ribcage. "Clara, I thought," he stammered, grappling with this apparition before him. Was this a trick? Had he lost his grip on reality? Lydia stood poised, a predator watching prey, and everything Henry thought he understood slipped further away. "Clara?" he repeated, disbelief thickening his words. "Is this really you?" "Yes," she breathed, pain flickering across her features. "But it's not safe to explain now. You have to trust me." As she spoke, Henry noticed shards of crystal glinting on the floor, reflections casting disorienting flashes of light around them. Isabella shifted, her small hands trembling. "Mom," she murmured, eyes wide, as Clara's presence crackled with a mix of love and fear. "Is it really you?" But before Clara could answer, the walls trembled again. The ballroom quaked, and in that moment of distraction, something extraordinary happened. A reverberating roar filled the air, deafening as if the building itself was protesting. "Run!" Henry shouted, instinct taking over. He grabbed Isabella's hand, but Clara held her ground, staring beyond them, her eyes wide with horror. "Don't open that door!" she screamed, pointing to the dark passage revealed by the rolling ring. "What door?" Henry had no time to ask. The air crackled with energy, and the ground buckled beneath them. Lydia's smirk vanished, replaced by genuine fear. "No, not now!" She lunged toward the passage, but it was too late. The ground shook violently, and with an explosive bang, the wall beside them erupted, dust and debris filling the air like smoke. A blinding light erupted from the rift, pouring in a torrent from the broken wall. It consumed everything in its path. Henry squinted against the radiance, as figures emerged from the light, shadowy and indistinct, swirling around them. "Clara!" Isabella cried, struggling against Henry's grip, but he held tight. The shadows wrought chaos. "They are coming!" Lydia shrieked, panic dripping from her words. "You have to choose, the truth or the void." The shadows morphed, twisting and coiling. A cacophony of whispers filled Henry's ears, words slipping through like water. Loser, liar, truth. The weight of those words crumpled his heart. In that moment of terror, a figure stepped into the light, unmistakable yet altered. It was Clara, but the contours of her body shimmered like liquid, reflecting the faces of those she once loved and lost. "It's complicated," she cried out, but her voice echoed with layers of regret. "I never wanted this." Without warning, a gasp erupted from Isabella. She stepped forward, the ring still clasped in her tiny fist. "What secret, Mom?" she shouted, confusion and fear melting into determination. "What have you done?" As if answering her, the shadows danced closer, revealing a long-lost truth. Lydia's face twisted, anger spilling forth. "You opened a door that should have stayed closed, Clara. You were never meant to see this." The light enveloped them all, and everything shifted. The world spun violently. When it settled, Henry found himself standing in a desolate place, a dilapidated room he didn't recognize, walls crumbling, memories hanging heavy in the air. The shadows coiled tighter, now tangible, human forms flickering within. "Who are you?" he shouted against the whispers. But they only danced around him, enticing him with secrets of love and betrayal. And suddenly, one stepped forward, a man, features hauntingly familiar, eyes reflecting recognition and pain. "Henry," he said, voice gravelly, "it's time to learn the truth." The hair on the back of Henry's neck stood. The horrifying revelation echoed inside him, unraveling everything he believed. Isabella turned, eyes widening. "Dad?" The connection opened a chasm beneath Henry. The very foundation of their lives trembled. "Who am I?" he whispered, lost amid the darkness, questions circling him like vultures. And in that moment, as the shadows receded and truth threatened to fully emerge, something fundamental shifted. The very essence of their identities blurred, a reality crashing down like an avalanche, leaving only a desperate need for answers. Henry felt the words swirl around him, pulling him deeper into confusion. The shadows danced and whispered, revealing secrets that made his heart pound. But the figure standing before him, this man claiming to be a familiar face, shattered his reality even more. "Dad?" Isabella's voice was a fragile thread, stretching across the chasm of uncertainty. Henry could barely breathe. Henry, the man's voice wavered under the weight of unspoken truths. It's me, Marcus. Henry staggered back, shock coursing through his veins like ice water. What? No, that can't be. The room spun, reality fraying at the edges. You can't be. I thought you were gone. I was, Marcus said, his haunted eyes reflecting pain. But not in the way you believe. I didn't willingly leave. Clara, she made a choice. Sacrifices were made. The weight of his words crashed down, suffocating him. Memories flooded back, of laughter, of warmth, of the man who had vanished under a dark cloud of secrets. You knew about all of this? Understand, I wanted to protect you, protect Clara, Marcus pleaded, desperation lacing his tone. What does that even mean? Henry's voice cracked, the fury mixed with confusion roiling in him. Protect us from what? But Marcus stepped forward, urgency fueling his movements. She is connected to everything, Henry. The ring, the darkness, it's all part of a larger plan. You're in danger, she's in danger. Wait! Clara shouted, stepping between them, eyes wide with fear. You don't get to make this choice for them. Her anger was aflame, hot and fierce. Isabella looked back and forth, confusion written all over her small face. Mom, what's going on? Henry barely heard her. His mind raced, piecing together fragments, each revelation sending shockwaves through him. You mean Lydia? You kept this from me. Yes, Marcus shouted, fervor igniting the air. We all did. She's a part of this. She's the one who caused the accident, not just an unfortunate twist of fate. Gasps echoed through the shadows, echoes of disbelief ricocheting off the walls. Lydia's composure cracked, her eyes narrowing dangerously. You're lying. This is a setup. No, it's the truth. Marcus slammed his fist against the crumbling wall, dust cascading down like lost memories. The truth you hid from everyone. You knew the ring was cursed, cursed to draw us all back into this nightmare. Henry's heart raced. What does that mean for Isabella? How low does this darkness go? As if summoned by the chaos of his fears, the shadows recoiled, the whispers morphing into a deafening roar. It felt like the building was alive, shifting, breathing, demanding answers. Suddenly, a blinding light erupted from the passage, illuminating the room. Marcus stepped forward, pulling Isabella behind him protectively. Run, he yelled. But it was too late. The light crashed into them, swallowing everything whole. Screams pierced the air, shadows twisted as the light sank into darkness, and Henry felt himself being torn apart, emotions splintering like jagged glass. When the illumination faded, they found themselves in a different world, one that felt twisted and wrong. The landscape was barren, but desolate wasteland echoing with the remnants of laughter long gone. A storm brewed in the distance, rolling clouds thick and foreboding. In the midst of this chaos stood Lydia, but she was different now, glaring with an intensity that sent shivers down Henry's spine. You've entered my realm, Henry, where secrets become monsters. The truth crashed down on him like a wave. Everything he believed was suddenly unraveled. Marcus, Clara, Isabella, they all had ties intertwined through deceit. The darkness didn't just threaten them. It thrived on their past, feasting on their fears. Your daughter is a key, but not just to a door, Lydia hissed, her voice slithering between them. She's the door, and every choice you make will define who survives this storm. Fear gripped Henry as he grabbed Isabella's hand tightly. What are you saying? But the shadows shifted again, coiling around them with malicious intent. The ground trembled, ready to swallow them whole, and all he could hear were whispers, hints of betrayal, echoes of a past that refused to let go. As a fierce wind surged, Henry pulled Isabella close. The darkness was hungry, and in that terrifying moment, he realized the truth was far more sinister than anything he had ever imagined. What was real? What would be lost? Would they survive this wind? The race against time began as the shadows closed in, and once again they were left teetering on the edge between light and dark, duty and betrayal. The storm raged around them, shadows twisting and swirling, breathing life into the dark chaos of the ballroom. Henry's heart thundered, panic coursing through him. He could feel Isabella's hand trembling in his grasp. It was as if the air itself was saturated with confusion and fear, pulling them toward an uncertain fate. "Isabella, stay close," he shouted, but his voice felt small, lost amidst the turmoil. The shadows whispered, taunting him, and Lydia's haunting presence loomed like a storm cloud ready to unleash its fury. Suddenly, the light that had swallowed them flickered and morphed. It pulsated as if resonating with their fear, illuminating a figure that stepped forward. Clara's silhouette against the brilliance, but something felt off. Her features were softened by a surreal glow, but her eyes, those once warm eyes, were now sharp and cold. "Henry!" Clara cried out, urgency spilling from her lips. "You have to listen. The truth is in the shadows, but only I can guide you through." "What do you mean?" His voice cracked, confusion thickening the air. "You weren't dead. You're here." "No!" Lydia screamed, recoiling as if burned. "Don't listen to her. She lies." But there was a flicker of recognition in Henry's heart. He moved closer to Clara, drawn to the gravity of her presence. You left us in darkness. You knew something." A wail echoed through the room, rising above the chaos. Henry's skin prickled. He turned to the shadows as they swirled, revealing a multitude of faces, lost, broken, familiar. There stood Marcus, his father, ghostly and formidable, all regret written on his features. "Henry!" Marcus bellowed, reaching out. "It's time to uncover everything." And then it hit him, a crushing truth that shattered reality. You're not who I thought you were," he spat, pointing at Clara, the betrayal like a dagger in his chest. "You're using Isabella." Clara blinked, confusion furrowing her brow. "No, Henry, listen, you need to understand." But before she could finish, Isabella pulled the ring from her pocket, its glow cutting through the darkness. The whispers turned to screams, frenzied and desperate. The room shook, and cracks formed, spreading through the fabric of reality. "Mom!" Isabella shouted, her voice piercing through the cacophony. "Why do you keep lying?" Everything froze. Time hung in the air. Clara's eyes narrowed, determination flaring in a moment of desperation. "You need to stop asking questions you're not ready for. Isabella, give me the ring." "No, it belongs to me!" Isabella yelled back, fear and defiance coursing through her. "You can't take it." With a sudden motion, Lydia lunged forward, grabbing Isabella's wrist with icy grip. "That ring is the key to your past and your future." Her tone was sharp, revealing something deeper, darker. "You don't even know what it really unlocks." Henry felt the ground shift beneath him. A palpable tension settled in the air, heavy and suffocating. "Let her go!" he roared, instinct kicking in as he surged forward. In that moment, something extraordinary happened. The ring ignited with an ethereal light, blinding them. A flash exploded, and Clara's form melted away, leaving only a silhouette in the spiraling chaos. Lydia's grip on Isabella faltered, and she recoiled as the shadows roared like a beast unleashed. "What have you done?" Lydia screamed, terror etching her face as the darkness swirled violently around them. But amidst the flashes, a voice rang out clear. Marcus stepped forward. "You can't hold this back any longer. It's too late." Then the shadows began to solidify, intertwining to form a mirror, distorted, shifting, revealing visions of their past, memories buried, hidden truths, Clara and Marcus entwined in betrayal and pain. Henry stepped back, throat tight. "This can't be," he breathed, overwhelmed by the truth unfolding around him. The mirror broke apart, a chasm opening beneath them. Isabella's scream echoed, as she slipped toward the abyss. Instinctively, Henry lunged forward, gripping her arm tight. But just then, a blinding brightness erupted from the ring, illuminating everything. "Henry!" Clara's voice echoed faintly, blending with the chaos. "You need to choose." And in that electrifying moment, everything shifted. The choice lay before him, not just between saving Isabella or confronting the shadows, but between ultimate truth or a comforting lie. Before he could grasp what it all meant, the ground gave way, and they plummeted into darkness. And as they fell, a realization struck him with gut-wrenching clarity. Lydia was not the true villain in this twisted tale. The darkness was born of a secret more profound than he could ever fathom. How deep did betrayal run? Could they ever escape? Shadows twisted and turned, hungry for the truth. But one thing was clear: everything they believed was about to change forever. The ground trembled as they fell, darkness swallowing them whole. Time warped around Henry as he clung to Isabella, the echo of chaos fading into eerie silence. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest, the panic clawing at him like a wild beast. "Isabella, hold on!" he shouted, desperate. The darkness loomed, swallowing them deeper. Then, with an explosive flash, they hit the ground, soft, warm fabric beneath them, disorienting. Henry blinked, the world around him shifting. They were no longer in the bleak void, but in a living room. Sunlight streaked through large windows, illuminating everything in a golden glow. Pictures lined the walls, happy faces, laughter, moments frozen in time. Clara, Marcus, and even a young girl who looked uncannily like Isabella. "Where are we?" he breathed, a mix of confusion and hope ripping through him. Isabella looked around, wide-eyed and trembling. "It feels familiar." A pit opened in Henry's stomach. Is it a dream? But before he could process the scene, a voice slices through the warmth. A woman emerged from the shadows, like a ghost brought to life. Her hair was dark, heavy with secrets, and her expression hard. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her voice cold as ice. "Who are you?" Henry asked, voice shaky. "What is this place?" But the woman only stared, disbelief flickering in her eyes. "You're not supposed to remember." Suddenly, something broke inside Henry. "Remember what?" The words poured out, desperation painting his tone. "You know something." She hesitated, a flicker of recognition flashing across her features. "You must leave," she urged, glancing around as if the walls had ears. "It's too late." "Too late for what?" Isabella asked, eyes brimming with fear. "Too late," the woman's voice faltered. "Too late to save your mother." The words hung heavy in the air, a crushing weight. Henry felt every nerve in his body flare to life. "Clara, what do you know about her?" The woman looked at him, and suddenly fear morphed into something deeper, darker. "Clara wasn't just trying to protect you from the truth. She sealed it away from herself." A shocking truth pierced through the fog. "What do you mean?" The woman stepped closer, her voice barely a whisper. "The ring was meant to unlock memories, but it also concealed them. It's a gateway, one Clara thought she could control, but it wants to reveal everything or destroy." As the realization struck, the walls began to shimmer, the pictures flickering like flame. Life before Henry surged forward, mingling with shadows of fear. And in that terrifying moment, the memories spilled from the corners of the room. Faces, conversations, Clara's laughter coated with layers of sorrow. "Your father," she began, shaking her head as if the truth burned. "He made a choice. He set the darkness free." Then it happened. A jolt of energy erupted, and everything shifted. The room pulsated violently, flickering like an old film reel. Images dissolved and reformed, and Henry felt himself slipping away, gripping Isabella tightly, And then the truth hit him like a freight train. Marcus, he didn't just disappear. He left us, on purpose. Yes, the woman said softly, regret lacing her tone. To protect you. To protect Clara. It felt like the floor dropped away as the enormity of it all shattered his world. Relationships, memories, all tainted. And then came the shocking revelation. You're the sister? Clara, Isabella whispered, stepping back. And I'm your daughter. Warmth drained from his body, shock ripping through him like a violent storm. No, you're not. But as confusion, fear, and anger swirled within him, everything began to break down. The images morphed again, and then darkness rolled in, the woman's form stretching and twisting until she faded. Find me, she called out, voice echoing softly, before it escapes. And with that, they were plunged into silence once more. Isabella, we need to move, Henry shouted, but inside, his mind whirled, questions spiraling into chaos. What was real? Who was truly his daughter? And could they ever escape the cycle of lies that bound them so tightly? What do we do now, Dad? Isabella asked, fear coiling in her voice. But the gravity of his reality felt suffocating. He glanced fiercely into her eyes, uncertainty swimming in his heart. We find the truth, and we break this curse. The stakes rose higher, shadows looming. One thing was certain, the storm wasn't over yet. And what lay ahead could change everything. As the room pulsed with energy, Henry gripped Isabella's hand tighter, heart racing. The shadows swirled around them like storm clouds, and every instinct screamed a warning. Isabella, we need to find a way out. But her eyes, wide with confusion and fear, locked onto the shifting darkness. I don't understand, Dad. What's happening? Before Henry could answer, the woman, the one who claimed to be Clara's sister, stepped closer. Biting her lip. The ring, it's more than you think. It holds the power to alter memories, to bend reality. It's dangerous. Just then, a low rumble echoed through the air. The walls trembled, dust drifting like snow. No time, we have to. But then Lydia's harsh laughter cut through the chaos. You think you can just walk away? No, not now. Suddenly, the room exploded into vivid light. Like someone had flipped a switch, everything changed. Henry squinted against the brightness, shielding Isabella. But then something horrific happened. The shadows retreated, but not into nothingness. They coalesced into forms. Figures he recognized, but never thought he'd see again. Faces flickering with memory. Mom? A voice whispered, a spine-chilling echo that was all too familiar. Henry's heart dropped. There, amidst the swirling chaos, stood Clara. But she wasn't alone. A man beside her, Marcus, his father, grinned like a wolf caught in a trap. It's time for the truth, Henry. Marcus's voice boomed, reverberating through Henry's bones. Dad, how? Chill ran down his spine as more figures emerged from the shadows, one by one, joining Clara and Marcus. Each face seemed to peel layers off the ghost of his past, old friends, lost relatives, even people he thought were long gone. The room felt charged, dense with a history of pain and neglect. Look at them. This is what you chose, Lydia shouted, her voice sharp. This is the cost of secrets. Henry felt the weight of their gazes, a flood of emotions drowning him. What is happening? He cried. What do you want from us? With the snap of a finger, Clara's expression turned somber, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Henry, you don't understand. We never wanted this for you. The ring, it's a curse. A doorway. You're caught in a game far beyond your comprehension. Panic surged through him, fingers trembling around Isabella's small hand. No, we're getting out of here. The ground shook violently. Clara opened her mouth to speak, but before she could explain, another figure materialized, a twisted shadow of her former self. It was him, but not him, a cruel reflection pulsing with dark malice. "I'm the truth you fear, Henry," the shadow taunted, its voice layered and mocking. "You can't escape it. You never could." Every breath felt heavier, suffocating him. Heart pounding, he blurted out the one thing he had Googled all those times. "What do you want from Isabella?" With a fierce intensity, Clara stepped forward. "We need to find the key to break the cycle. You have to trust us." But the shadow grinned wider. "Trust? You've broken that bond already. You think they'll listen to you?" In a trembling silence, fear held them captive. With a sudden clarity, Henry realized something was off. Something monumental was being hidden beneath layers of deception. "Isabella," he whispered, dropping to one knee, "you need to give me the ring." "What?" she gasped, horror flashing across her eyes. "Why?" "Because it was never about saving us, sweetheart. It was about what you could unlock." Just then, the shadow lunged, darkness twisting every corner. The room swirled, reality slipping away like sand through fingers. "Don't!" Clara shouted, panic etched across her face. But something shifted in the air, a crack in the very fabric of their reality. And then, all at once, the ring flashed with blinding light, illuminating the room. A deafening roar engulfed them, disintegrating the shadows and revealing the terrible truth. Lydia's cruel laughter echoed in his ears as everything was plunged into chaos. "You should have never freed the truth, Henry. Now you're all caught in it." In that catastrophic moment, Henry realized the devastating secret. The shadow wasn't just an echo of fear. It was his darker self, a part of him made flesh. Each choice altered was a thread spun from the very essence of his being. As the dust settled, a chilling revelation struck him like lightning, a truth that made his heart sink. "No, it can't be. I'm the monster?" The weight of the realization crushed down, leaving them in a swirling abyss of uncertainty. "What do we do now?" Isabella whispered, confusion and fear clouding her innocent eyes. And as the darkness closed in, Henry understood that everything they fought for was slipping through their grasp. The cycle hadn't ended. It had only begun. The shadows twisted and shrieked, coiling like a living nightmare. Henry's heart raced, raw panic suffocating him. He gripped Isabella tighter, fear prickling his skin. "We need to break this, together." His voice trembled, but determination flickered within him. Around them, the room pulsed with memory and pain. Clara's visage shimmered painfully, blending with Marcus's intense gaze. "You must face your truth, Henry," Marcus cried, desperation lacing his words. "What truth?" Henry shouted, voice cracking. "That I'm a monster? That all I've believed is a lie?" "Yes," Lydia's voice sliced through the cacophony like a dagger. "The ring binds you to everything. Your fears, your choices, your family." As Henry stared into the fray of emotions swirling around him, a flicker of understanding kindled. "I won't let you control this," he declared, redirecting his focus to Isabella. "You hold the key to our freedom, the truth." Isabella's eyes brimmed with terror as she clutched the ring. "I don't know how," she cried, her chin wobbling, but Henry could see the courage shining through her fear. "You do. Just believe in yourself." He took a deep breath, focusing on the connection they shared. "The darkness can't take that away." Suddenly, the shadows lunged, but Henry stood firm. "You are not my past. You won't define my future." His heart pounded, raw energy crackling between him and Isabella. With shaky hands, Isabella lifted the ring higher. It glowed, illuminating the truth right in front of them. "I choose to remember," she declared, voice rising above the din. Light exploded from the ring, washing over them like a tide. Henry shielded his eyes, feeling the warmth envelop him. The shadows writhed, struggle echoing in their cries. "No, not her!" Lydia's voice screamed, despair cutting through their chaos. But the truth surged, driving away the darkness. Memories spilled forth, joy and pain, love and loss, all knitting together. Clara stepped forward, radiant and fierce. "You have the strength to break this cycle, my love." As the shadows began to dissolve, Marcus's eyes shone with pride. "Fight, Henry. Choose love over fear." Trembling but resolute, Henry took a step toward Isabella. "We have to do this together. It's our truth that will overcome." The room erupted as the shadows evaporated, leaving behind warmth and light. With a brilliant flash, the echoes faded, and they emerged into a peaceful world. A vibrant garden, sunlight spilling over flowers, laughter dancing on gentle breezes. Isabella gazed around, wonder in her eyes. "Is it over?" Henry nodded, feeling relief wash over him. "It is. We've broken the curse." Clara smiled, her form shimmering like dew in sunlight. "You found your strength, and you're free now." The weight of sorrow lifted, healing replacing despair. But beneath that joy lingered a question. What lay ahead? "Is this goodbye?" Isabella whispered, looking at Clara with a mixture of hope and sorrow. "Only for now," Clara replied. "Truth is a journey, and yours is just beginning. Remember, love binds us all." With a final smile, she began to fade, her essence carried away by the wind. Henry reached for Isabella, together feeling the warmth in their hearts. "We can face anything now," he said softly, full of promise. As they walked hand in hand through the garden, the world around them sparkled with possibility. No longer bound by fear, they stepped into the unknown. But as they ventured forth, shadows danced at the edges, silent reminders of the battle fought. The whispers of the past still lingered, every unanswered question hanging heavy in the air. And even in the beauty of their new dawn, Henry felt the pulse of something deeper, a mystery still unexplored, secrets waiting to unravel. Now, as the story concludes, I have to urge you, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. And don't wait one more second to share this video with at least 5 F.